Welcome to WasmCloud Wednesday for February the 2nd, 2022. We've got a couple demos, and this week we're going to start a little bit different. We're going to start with our community call out. Brooks, I'd ask you to share your screen, but I haven't given you permission yet. Every week.
I swear, Liam, at this point, I think you're doing it on purpose. You
Oh,
think
come
about
on.
it, but you're like, it's a running joke. We got to keep the joke going.
I'd have to Google how to do it, Brooks. I don't really know how to do it.
All right. So, yeah, starting with the community call out today, we've got three issues for you. Two of them are in the WasmCloud OTP repo. So, great way to get involved if you want to start looking at Elixir or OTP or Phoenix. The first one is this disambiguate copy host ID button from actor provider columns. When you go into the washboard, which, I probably should have launched one for this, but I have screenshots, so it's good enough. When you go into the WasmCloud dashboard, the actor and provider tables have two copy buttons, and one is for the copy provider ID, one's for copying host ID. And most of the time when you have this little popover, it's pretty self-explanatory, but as a user, you do have to mouse over that and ask yourself the question, why do I have two different colored copy buttons? So in the interest of having the best user experience, we love to just remove the copy host ID from this table. This will help condense everything. In the bottom right, when you select a host, there is another button to copy the host ID. So it's this information will be available elsewhere in the same view. So we're not losing anything here, and we're going to reduce, implementing this reduces confusion and provides for a better user experience in the WasmCloud dashboard. So doing this is going to require, it's not going to require any changes to the host runtime, but it will be some changes on the Phoenix dashboard. So if you have some web development experience and haven't quite touched Phoenix yet, I'd be happy to help out just pointing where that is. It's mostly just, what you'll change for this is kind of like decorated HTML. So great first issue for somebody looking to contribute to the web UI. All right, second one is a change more focused around the host runtime. We recently, or in a recent PR, we changed it so that first health checks happen immediately. So you start an actor and then we immediately send it a health check to ensure that it's set up correctly and can respond to invocations. We do the same thing for capability providers, but since capability providers need to set up their own NATS connection and potentially even initialize some additional resources, pinging it or sending an invocation immediately can be a little too early. So we'd love to send this health check after just a couple of seconds. Much better to send a health check after 5 seconds and see a waiting in the UI or in the web dashboard than to send a health check immediately and see unhealthy for 30 seconds. So that again will contribute to a better user experience. Won't require any changes in the web UI. That's just how you'll be able to test and watch the health check. And then the last one, which I'm actually kind of glad that we're doing this right at the beginning, is a little bit of a call for feedback on troubleshooting with WasmCloud. So over the last few weeks, we have had a couple of things come into our community Slack where we see things people would paste an error, say, hey, this happens when I try to invoke my actor. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Or, hey, this happens when I linked my actor incorrectly and I couldn't tell, things like that. And to start addressing some of these issues, we've added another section to our documentation under the app development section called errors and debugging. So under the host troubleshooting section, this goes through how to find the proper logs, whether using the release tarball or Docker, how to change that log level across a couple of different environments. And then, once you've done that, we have a couple of common, common issues, common errors that you'll run into when developing actors. The provider troubleshooting section is still a little bit it's still under construction since providers are a little more nuanced. But what this specific issue is not exactly asking anybody to fix anything. It's if you have run into any of these issues, it can be anything from, I used an outdated version of an interface and my actor failed to compile to, my host runtime didn't start because I was running NATS on a different port, anything I'd love to just start up like a little bit of a mega thread here. This is on our documentation repo. I will send it out into the community Slack as we always do for community callouts. And I'll likely time box this. So I'll probably mention this week and next week, just to avoid having this running too long, because I'd love to, if there's anything that we've seen before or seems to be a repeat issue, love to get that in our documentation to better improve how developers feel about how they can self-service and not need to jump into our community Slack when they see an error. They can search for that in our documentation. So yeah, those are our 3 good first issues, 2 on the OTP runtime side, and 1 just asking for any and all feedback. So as usual, I'll link these afterwards, but that's all that I had for the community call out. Anybody have any questions on these?
Phenomenal, Brooks. And if you could drop those into Slack, I'll cut and paste them and drop a tweet for them as well, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, right, sounds great.
Thank you so much, Brooks. And for our demonstration today, we're going to hand off to Jordan Rash. Jordan has been leading up our work stream around our new experience for onboarding folks with experimenting with different training platforms, and I think you're going to do a demo today. So Jordan, we'll hand off to you.
Yeah, so we through due diligence and tested 2 or 3 platforms over the last few weeks. One of the reasons we're moving away from Catacoda is it didn't offer the full feature set that we wanted to, really giving the folks finding our platform the most smooth transition. So one of the ones we've been looking at is this Instruct platform, and I have found that it is a really nice Catacoda-like platform, offers a lot of features, and honestly, just a really nice experience. And one of the biggest things we were looking for in a platform was that all the content could live in GitHub, and our entire community would be able to come and interact with the training platforms via pull requests and issues. And Instruct has just that. It doesn't pull from the repo like Catacoda did, but it does have a command line interface that can be leveraged in GitHub Actions. So we would be able to have a repo that anyone would be able to keep up. And short of hoping this doesn't break, I did put this little wash one together just to show you what it would feel like. And this is what would happen if you went to the Instruct environment. It takes over your full web browser. They also have the ability to embed it. And if you go look at HashiCorp's training, they're actually starting to use Instruct, and it has the ability to like pop up from the bottom and have like your website at the top, and it's embedded at the bottom half. So more or less, this tutorial is this GitHub repo that I just showed right here, and it doesn't do much other than like start wash. And it took about 2 minutes for the environment to bootstrap, and then you get here and we drop into this terminal, and we have all the same kind of feel you would have if you were in Catacoda. We click, it copies, and we can paste it, and we can see Wash is running, and I believe I even have wasmCloud running. Yeah, so things we can do, basic tutorials, we can do challenges, we can do group trainings. The actual Instruct CLI offers a lot of ability to monitor training that's going. So if we were in like a large group and like 15, 20 people were using the same link, like a event link, we could actually tell the logs and monitor and be proactive for any problems they had. And we could also see, where they're getting stuck, what they might need help with, which is a really nice feature when you're like trying to do this in a large group of things. So anyway, this is just kind of where we're at right now. I've really only played with Wash. The other platforms that we've played with are nice as well. They just don't offer all the feature sets that this one does. So maybe I'll probably try and put together another demo and another platform, but this is the one we've been playing with the most so far, and yeah, it's been really nice.
Great, and we're working on a longer term set of content that we can use and that the community can use for onboarding teams or folks into WasmCloud and the associated tooling. And we envision building out, demonstrations that, start with actors in multiple languages, then go to providers in multiple languages, capability providers, and really kind of take people on the journey from start to finish. So the Katakoda tutorials have been fine, and we did not update them when we rolled out the latest version, so they are a little out of date. But we do get a ton of good feedback on those, and we've got a couple hundred people using them every month. So we know that folks are really using them and depending on them. So as we get that stuff rolled out, I'd love feedback and suggestions. But we have been sort of writing out, some content and courses, as you see reflected at wasmcloud.dev. We'll try to make a live environment for that as well. I think that brings us close to the top of our agenda. Bailey, we were talking before the call started. You are working on a number of different projects right now. I know you're helping out with our WasmCloud machine learning extensions and a few other things that we are developing. And I know you said you're working on a dog or not dog in the office a thing, right? What I would love to do is when you get it going is I would like to put on like a dog mask and see how realistic does it need to be to turn the detector. Like, is it on the body, or, can I just put on like a dog face or floppy ears and, put like the black one eye, black circle around, like make whimpering noises. I don't know.
Yeah, and that sounds a little dangerous, because I feel like my boss would start doing that, because that's sort of the only way to get me in the office is whether or not I know there's a dog in the office. So yeah, he might just get a cardboard cutout and just kind of like carry that in on his briefcase every day or something.
Honestly, more important than whether the code actually works is us being able to see Liam dress up in a dog outfit on camera.
Lots of pros, some concerns.
All right. Well, I think just open call out across the floor. Does anybody have any topics they wanted to raise today? Any projects they're working on? Anything interesting? A couple quick community call outs. The CNCF marketing meeting was today, and you still have 26 more days to submit your WasmDay talk. So I would love to see more WebAssembly talks and WasmCloud talks submitted. I would also suggest that folks maybe think about looking at some of the related days. There are maybe 8 or 10 different days that are being hosted this year at KubeCon EU. Right now we're scheduled for Monday, May the 16th, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of great submissions from the community about WasmCloud as well as other topics. So if you want any help preparing a talk or submitting a talk, whether it includes WasmCloud or not, don't hesitate for a moment to reach out. I'm happy to help anybody get going. And then, Brooks, did you throw your hand up?
Yeah, there's a few updated versions of WasmCloud things that I wanted to talk about, but I can do that after you talk about events and things.
The only other event that I know of that's coming up, I'll just pre-tease Red Badger. Stuart Harris's team is going to be hosting a WebAssembly Day in London here in a couple weeks. Stuart, do you want to give us a preview of who's speaking and what's going on?
Yeah, so Wednesday, March the 2nd, hybrid event in our office and on Hopin. We've done a whole series of events in the past called We Love Tech, which has been an umbrella for us to do events about things we love. And obviously with the pandemic, that kind of like died away, and we're bringing them back. And the first one is we love WebAssembly beyond the browser.
You lost your audio, Stuart.
I can still slightly hear you. It just sounds like you're very far away, like it used a separate mic or something.
Yeah, or a loose connection.
Sorry, the microphone switched to my AirPods. I don't know why. It was in my pocket, so that's bizarre. Can you hear me again? Yeah, great. And the second one, in April, we love Nats in conjunction with Synodia. So the one on March the 2nd is good. We've got yet to be confirmed a speaker from Single Store about how they're using WebAssembly to extend the database, a speaker from Fastly about how they're using it in the CDN, and from Cosmonic as well about wasmCloud. So we've yet to confirm all of those and lock it all up, but next week we'll be sending out invites and all the details and stuff. So keep you updated.
That's wonderful. And timing will be about what time? Because we've got folks here from like Coast
yes. So it'll be 6:30 UK time, GMT basically. So it'll be about, I guess, lunchtime for you, Liam, and
yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, that works out well though for folks during their work days to be able to tune in. I'm sadly out of the office on March the 2nd now, but I am so excited for the event, and I will certainly catch the live stream. Brooks, did you want to go ahead and talk about some of the updates that were out this week?
Yeah, we had a couple of releases. Well, one minor release and then one that's upcoming that I just wanted to socialize as we're maturing with releasing new things and writing change logs. You can always find information in the releases page. This is for Wash. We released 0.9.0. Just becoming a theme now. Thank you from the community. Matt Wilkinson is contributing a ton to Wash, which has been awesome. Some improvements to CI and the real quote unquote breaking change that added a new feature in a backwards compatible way that we just wanted to respect with a minor bump is adding another flag to Wash control start provider. So you can configure a provider on startup through Wash via the control interface. So that was the quote unquote breaking change that required a minor bump. But we also have had a little bit more maturity in our CI from Taylor for Wash. So if you're installing Wash via Brew, you should see some improvements in install times for x86 machines, for x86 Macs, where you should just download an executable now instead of full cargo installing. So it shouldn't take 5+ minutes to install via Brew, which is great. And we also have a chocolatey, I guess registry may be the correct term, a way to install Wash with chocolatey now. And the process is a little bit slower for that. It requires like a human approval for each version. So we'll add that to our documentation as soon as 0.9 is available. Taylor, do you want to talk any more about that? Because I know that you worked on a good bit of that.
Yeah, so now everything is actually, you can go ahead and expand the assets there, Brooke, just to show if you're lazy and want a Windows thing, the wash.exe is now attached to the release so that you can run it on Windows. That's the exact binary that gets downloaded by Chocolatey. Chocolatey, the package all works. You can technically install 0.8.1 right now if you manually specify the version, but it hasn't been approved for the main community stream yet until a moderator takes a look at it. So as soon as that's there, like Brooke said, that'll be updated. And Homebrew is using what is called bottles now. So those are automatically built from the Homebrew repo. And so those are all automatically built and pushed up. And so then you're able to download those much quicker now. So it's now just however long it takes your network to download the actual executable. We're going to figure out how to support M1 Max by default as well. It's actually pretty easy to cross compile across the Mac targets on a Mac. So we're just going to have to figure out how we do that in in the brew world to make it work. But otherwise, Brooks pretty much covered it.
Awesome.
And Taylor, I know you did a ton of work on the Azure pipelines and stuff like that to get that stuff going. Thank you again for just slaying all that and just grinding it all down. I know that was just a ton of work to get it going, but it's a huge uplift across the community. So thank you. Sorry, Brooks, go ahead.
Yeah, so just wanted to point that out since there was a new minor release of Wash. Want to let you all know what changed. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is WasmBus RPC. We are looking to bump to 0.7, which includes a couple of breaking changes from 0.6. So as a part of this, Steve has written up a change log in the RPC RS repo, which I can ping for anybody else who's interested. But we just want to make sure that we communicate any breaking changes. The vast majority of the work we will be taking on, since it involves updating our WasmCloud interfaces, updating our WasmCloud capability providers. So the vast majority of difference is just going to be bumping versions for the capability providers you use, things like that. But if you are if you're writing your own actors and use WasmBus RPC for some specific things like creating your own RPC results, we're changing some of the locations. Instead of re-exporting things that are under the error module, for example, we're going to be deprecating just the top level RPC error and RPC results. This is done mostly to avoid any issues with the Rust compiler, thinking that a type inside of a module is a different type than a re-exported type. So we just want to avoid any inconsistencies and pain in the developer experience there. We've removed a couple of features and wrapped the choice of, or for CBOR, we've wrapped that so that that's not technically exposed to the public and you don't have to deal with it. And then we also have a couple things that came with this first alpha version that we've been releasing to crates.io for testing. So you're always welcome to pull this down and give it a try. But they haven't been technically released yet. We're using a new NATS client to improve performance and authentication schemes so that you can, for example, connect to an authenticated NATS server. But I won't go through all of this. I just wanted to at least socialize that we're working on keeping change logs for these things. Bailey, I think you might be affected with this since you have an open PR in the interfaces repo for the SQLDB interface. So you should be able to minor bump the interfaces that you depend on, and most of it should be taken care of, but this should be a good resource.
Brooks, I just had a question. So given the fact that this is currently set at Alpha 2, when thinking about breaking changes, if people are on 0.6, does it make sense for them to wait until 0.7 is no longer iterating over alpha releases before they do the upgrade?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you see something in the breaking changes or you've requested something that we're trying to test and you specifically want to use one of these alpha tags, Cargo Update will not automatically update you to an alpha tag. It won't even update you to 0.7 since it's a breaking change. So we're going to be looking to release 0.7 without the alpha tag, either a little bit later today or later this week. And we'll update this changelog accordingly to kind of merge all of them, or to at least point out that all of these things get or are put into 0.7. That answer your question, Kevin?
Yep.
All right, super, Brooks. Open floor, other topics? Brooks, anything else? All right, we have the standing machine learning group meets tomorrow at 3. So we'll hopefully get updates out to the repo, and we'll link any notes into our Slack channel. As always, if you know of anyone that's looking for any help getting into WasmCloud or is interested in some hand-holding, we're more than happy to provide workshops and help get people going. We love building community, and WasmCloud just keeps on picking up more and more momentum. We've got a lot of great activity on the commercial side, and things are going super well. So with that, I'll just do a last call, and we can stop recording, and folks can hang out and talk about the Choco Bars. All right, go ahead and stop recording. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.